Let's go back in time. This is episode 107. Episode 43, I had to look it up yesterday. We called it table joinery. And we built this unit right here. Not that unit, this unit. And we used the dominoes because I wanted to teach how to do this offset. You see it right here? And you can do that with the gauge block. After that table joinery episode or Festool Live, I was getting emails, texts. Hey, can you do the same thing with the domino connectors? Absolutely. And then it erupted, hey, I want to do something like this, a right angle with an offset on a larger table. So today I'm going to take my time. I've done a ton of layout. I'm going to go through the layout with you. I'm going to show you how to do this table over here. Chris, come on and walk with me, babe. Right over here, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do the domino connectors to make this a knockdown fixture. But more so, I'm going to do it with the Domino XL as well to show you how to create the offset with the domino connectors. So today I milled pieces at 30 millimeters thick. That's the minimum the domino connectors can go into, okay? The maximum is whatever you want. But the other critical one, and there was somebody here yesterday when I was setting up, I won't say his name, Aaron, and we were talking, okay? We were talking about what connectors he should get. And I said, what's your minimum you want to use? And he goes, well, I'm building a bookcase, I think it was, or an armoire. And he said, I'm going into a 20 millimeter 3/4. I go, you need the domino 500 connectors, because the minimum on the connectors for the 500 is 18 and the maximum is 28. So hopefully that helps you out a little. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the setup to do this right here. I'm going to take an apron skirt and put it into the taper. Let me get this correct, right here. And this is where I always start. What's my layout? This is my face, okay, that my apron is going into right here, okay? I make this mark here. See that little arrow? Because that is where I'm going to place my domino. My plate is going here. Then I'm going to come over here and go like this. And I always have a little bit of a layout right here. And I'll go here, and I want to create that offset today. But I can do that with the connectors, but I know, see how I mark that? That's where that fence, which I call right here, the fence goes up against that. In other words, you don't want holes or domino mortises on the outside. Do you know why? Because you'll have to sell it for more. Okay, that's an architectural defect. Okay, good. When you do layout on something, always mark your boards. I don't care how many, look at this, look at all the writing I have on this. Okay, plate height is 40, I'll go over that. PD or plunge depth is 20 and 15 because that's where the connect is gonna go. This is a layout line. The dimension from here to here is 55 millimeters. I rotate it, I bring it, I shoulder it over, and I write it on every board. Now, before I start mortising, maybe I'm doing 2, 3, 4 tables, you know, quantify that. Each leg has layout on it twice. Make sure you go through it to make sure your taper's on the insides, right? And how you're going to reference your machine to the board. By the way, that's woodworking 101. And then the next thing you do, because you're going to see how I'm switching back and forth on this machine through this whole exercise today, you're going to see how confusing it can be. Label it and it won't be confusing. Like over here, pH is 20. pH always in my head stands for a plate height. This is the plate. The bottom part here is the base. We've done several episodes on this. And then PD is my plunge depth. So when you're working with the connectors, there's 2 depths you've got to remember. 15 and 28. 15 being the wedge anchor, 28 being the cross anchor. So you'll see how that all works in a few minutes as I'm going to do one side of this. I also do this wherever I label my top, okay, and I label here where it says 28, I turn it over so I don't get confused, and I just draw a hole there. And that is where we create our access hole with a drilling jig, and I'll show you that momentarily. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up to do this piece right here. I'm going to grab my clamp, and I want you to step through this, because I'm going to go through some safety stuff with the domino as well. I'll just take it like this, set it up like this, and lock it in. Let's see if my dust extractor's working. Important, when you put a plug-it cord on your machine, always, 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 it's a full quarter turn. Good. Let's get this on. Now, let's verify the machine. First, I'm going to set my plate height. It's really simple. Okay, when I take this, you see the window? I'm going to put 20 in there, because that's the distance, you ready? Or the thickness of my material. So the distance from here to the center is 10 millimeters. That puts me in the middle of that 20 millimeter board. Okay, now, today, I'm not going to use the flaps. I'm going to use these. These are the little wings that are on the support bracket. Now on the XL I'll be using 20, but one of the pins is at 20. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to set my plunge depth at 20, right here, look. You pull this blue tab here, and it's set at 20. Everything is going to be done at tight. So I'm going to come over here, okay? Remember, let the plate rest on there. You plunge in line. Okay, now, when I do this next one, I'm going to do 2 more operations, but I'm going to wait for the machine to cycle down, because I'm going to take the wing out of the way. I'm going to put this wing up, because I'm going to come 20 from this side, and I'm going to set my plunge depth at 28. I'm going to wing it in here like this, okay? So this is my top here. I'm just going to bring it over here, and I'm going to do this side here. See this? Okay, now, see how I had it set at 20? That was the thickness. So from the plate to the center of the bit's 10. I want to create that offset. All right? So it's pretty simple, but you got to remember this, and this gets so confusing when I show this to people. This is the thickness of the material in here. When I take this and I bring it to 40, that's how I'm going to do the leg. Look, I even labeled it plate height 40. That's actually going to take me an additional 10 millimeters down. You'll see in a minute. You have to do it to understand it. But what I'm going to do is I also got to position my clamping properly as well. So I'm going to take it, now this is on a taper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a board and put it in there, so I got a nice reference. I'm going to take it like this. Oop, let me get this board under here so it's well supported. And remember, what I've always shown you on Festool Live is to work off of the table. All right, now I got it set at 40. My plunge depth is I'm going to use the same tab from the top. Okay, I got it set at 40, and my plunge depth on this is only 20. Okay, because I'm going to use an 8x40 tenon, and that'll match up. Okay, I'm going to start getting my connector so I can explain a few things as we go through this. The next plunge depth is for this. This is a wedge anchor. Okay, that I don't have any other settings than 15 millimeters of depth. But here's the situation. See how I use the precision of the machine and the flap from the top of the leg? I can't use a flap to get this. In this offset here, what is it, Robert? Oh, he left already, huh? Okay, good. It's 55 millimeters, because that's why I have this setup block. Let me pull this out so you can see it. And hopefully you guys can come up afterwards, okay, and see these setup blocks. But this was my top, and to that right there, I measured, because that's 20 and 20. It's 55 millimeters, so I measured that out, and I labeled it. Because remember, everything's in the tight setting. All right, next, let's get this out. How are we doing on time?
15 minutes left.
That's it? Okay, I'm hurrying. I removed that flap, that wing, so I'm going to use that layout line. And remember, when you're using the domino connectors, okay, everything is done in tight. And I decided to do the other ones in tight. Now, I got my equalizer here. I'm gonna punch that in real easy. And then I'm gonna take this post. And this post is, there's a lot to it because I'm gonna take out this little grub screw right here. And you're gonna see how that tip is conical. Everybody sees that online? Okay. And this acts like kind of like a draw board because that 28 dimension plunge depth, that'll take it and draw it in, so that'll come together tight. So what I want to point out on this is when you screw this in, there's a couple ways to do it. You see the little 3mm access on here? It's a 3mm hex that we throw in there. You can also use, because these are 1/4 inch across the flats, I can take that and you always tighten it all the way down. I usually set my clutch about 6 on that. I'm gonna come back, and here's where I'm gonna start to eyeball it. This is the front right here. This taper has to go to the back. So I'm just gonna take that, if I can, ooh, man, I'm getting nervous here, Chris. Okay, look, I'm gonna take that and turn it to the back. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna create an access hole, whew, in here. So let's double check I'm doing the right one, which I did, right? So we got to do this like this. I'm going to put this now, just, whew, man. This is a lot different. There's a lot more people in the room today. Wow. Okay, so I got to create this access hole. That one. Oh my God. So this is what the drilling jig's for. And this is what this bit's for. Okay. Here is a steel tenon. It slips inside the mortise. It doesn't go underneath. So to set this up, I'm just going to take it like this, open it up, put it into the mortise. Once you set this up, it's good for the whole operation. Make sure when you are doing this, you hook it up to dust extraction, okay? Okay, good, that's ready to rock and roll. Make sure I turn that on. And don't forget that when you start to drill that access hole in here, it's self-adjusting, all right? Don't start the bit because you'll shear that off. Start the bit inside there. So here's where we go. Now, one of the tips I want to give you on connectors, because using the drilling jig, there's this little brass pat right here on the top. A lot of people stop a little bit shy with that. Make sure you punch it all the way through, because you have to give access to this little part right here so it lines up, and that doesn't stand proud when you tighten it. So I'm just going to take that out, just like that. Let's get a little more dust extraction in there. There we go. That's done. Now, we're going to put the cross anchor in there, just like that. To hold it in place, I'm going to take it like this, and we're going to slide it in. I'm going to take my adjuster, put that in. I'm going to take this domino. Where are you? I brought extra. Because I went 20 and 20, I'm going to use an 8 by 40. And I'm going to put that in there like this. Okay, now let's take that and slide it in. Let's get her in there. Oh, that was in there too far. Let me back it out. Okay, now here's the beauty of this. As I tighten it up, that little conical part is drawing on that little taper there, and as I take it, it makes it rock solid, just like that. So there you go. On the front here, you're going to see these little pins. The ones I'm going to use today, and I can push them back, are these. And the reason I do that is because sometimes when I have the plate down on my material, I get confused, and sometimes I'm on the 37, where today I need that 20. So I'm going to take it like that, and I'll do this piece first, because I get 20 and 20, and then I'll show you my layout here. And I'll show you how to measure here. Okay, let's get this. Now on here, I have already labeled my plate height is 15, and this is critical because in the directions, which I know nobody listens to or reads, it says minimum thickness is 30. But when I start to bore this hole with the domino, it's really critical, and I'll show you my measurements, okay, when I'm finished. So let's set up that plate height. Now, remember on the 500, I said the number that appears in the window is the thickness of material. Here, it's a direct reading from the plate to the center of the bit. So I'm going to set that at 15, and I'm going to release my plate height. I'll bring it down so it sits on the gauge block. Always verify that. And then I'm going to lock my 90 in right here. You know what? Before I get started, always remember, because you're going to be plunging vertically to this, I put the support bracket on first. Right? Bring it in. My plate height is 50. My plate height is 15, sorry. My PD, plunge depth, is 50, so that's pretty easy. I'm going to take it right here, look, and I'm going to set it at 50, and these are presets, so I'm going to bring it right in, leave it at 50. If I have a bunch of these and I need to flip-flop back and forth, I can put those presets on. Wow, this is a lot different than the training center, huh? This is kind of cool. See the little tab right there? I'm going to do 20 and 20. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to turn it on. I always verify everything. 15, plunge depth is 50. This is called a handle, a CT handle. Now here's the most important part, okay? It's a handle. I'm just kidding. There's 3 of them. And it gets kind of confusing, but so when I went and did the research for this one, I wanted to make sure, hey, to read what we have, the little, the copy inside the catalog, and guess what? It's so great because it actually defines it nowadays. In the early days, it didn't. So this is the one. There's one for the CT48 and the CT48AC. It's a little bit taller. It takes literally 5 minutes to assemble. The instructions are fantastic. But I wanted to point something out, and you'll see it on all the different CTs. You have these little half moons in here. Sparky, don't move. And what that's for is you can store accessories and wands right there. Okay, just like this. You can tuck that in. You see how it's at an angle? But that's okay. You can store accessories right on there like this. It works great, okay? I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so I covered that one for the CT48 and the CT48 Auto Clean. Then there's another one. Okay, it's a little bit shorter. All right, but it's for, let's get this straight, the CT26, CT36, and CT36 Auto Clean. And that's a different handle altogether. But I wanted to point this out because this is the newest of the handles. It goes on the CT15, the CT Mini, the CT Midi. But what's really cool about it is it's collapsible. Isn't that cool? So you can store it right underneath your CT, or it makes a small space inside your van down by the river. Okay. Now, what I really wanted to point out today is, you know how I put these on and they were at a tilt? Look how you have this. What we did is we extended the hose wrap to the outside, so you have plenty of storage. You actually store your wand in here like that. Makes it a little more convenient. They're not at an angle. So those are the CT handles, and hopefully I defined it. There are 3 of them. And always check the copy or what is online or what is in the catalog to make sure you get the right one for your Festool dust extractor. Whew. Man, I'm almost done for the day. All right, okay, next. This is one that when I first saw it, I went, really? But I use it all the time. And you might have noticed I have it over here on my Cyclone, and I have it hooked up to my K-Pex. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's a Cyclone plug or socket extender. And it's actually the CTVA-AK, or the CT-VAC. It comes in this designer cardboard box. Okay, but it comes with 2 Velcro wraps, and what it does is it extends this, let me bring it out, The socket here, you got to take this off like this, okay, the plug protector. You plug it in here like this, you take it up, and instead of bending over to plug your plug-it cord in, you take this little piece out. Now here's a tip for you. Look inside your cyclone right here. You don't want to lose this, so you can put it right in there. You take it, very simply, you have these little extrusions here, and it fits right in those little slots, and you slide it right in like that. Close your cyclone, and now your plug-it cord, it's plugged in. You plug it here, and like I said, it'll save you your lower back there when plugging in. Everything is right there. Also, it comes with these little Velcro straps, so you can just wrap these like this. So this is nice and easy, just like that. And I'll do at least one of them, so you can see. Look how cool that is, and that keeps it nice and tight. All right, so that is the socket adapter, socket extender adapter. Woo! And I bet you didn't even know we had that. That's how lost it is in the catalog. Okay, so when we were talking about the Contoro table not too long ago, a few people reached out and said, hey, what about those cross members? So let me do a quick demonstration. I have my my MFT3 set up. All my knobs are locked, but a lot of the times I use my MFT, I'm using it in this direction. It's solid for me. But you may think that's a little too much wobble. So what the cross members do is they shore up the table. So look where they store, okay? When you get them, they come in this box, and they come in a 2-pack, all right? And there's a few things I want to teach you about that. I'm actually going to install one of the brackets in a moment. I want you to notice this in here. Get in here, Chris, so you can see this, everybody. See how it's spring-loaded? I've seen so many people turn this, and then they lose the spring. What I want to do is I want to show you how to install the bracket properly. And it's real easy to do, and you just tighten it up, and you'll see this really makes it nice, a little more sturdy. Okay, so let's show you how they come, and I'm going to break it apart. This little piece lives right here, so you gotta install this. So I'm going to take it out, and you'll see there's little holes here, and then you line it up with these little things. They hold in there pretty good. And this is the first part I'm going to do. And what you need to do is you have to get yourself a really nice ratchet set. Okay, so right here, I've covered this not too long ago. This is the Festool ratchet set, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. This here is a 10mm nut. So I'm just going to grab a 1/4 inch and grab a 10mm. I think that's it. Let's see if I can eyeball that quick. Oh man, I should have been a mechanic, huh? No. So let me grab that 10mm, just like this, and that'll work. And guess what? It says 10mm, so let's hook that up. Now the nice thing about these ratchets is it's ball detented, so that locks right on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart, and I'm going to install this right here, just like this. Minnie, how you doing? Good? Good. You got a lot of people online? I do. Okay, good. So you take this, and what it'll do, this is your, as I call, widget. Oh, sorry, Chris. Take it like that, and you're going to notice how that nut goes right in there like that. So, or that bolt. So you don't need another wrench on here, and you'll see it's aircraft locking nut. Oh, I love this little ratchet. It's so nice. Okay, just bring it like that. I leave it a little loose because I want to move this, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, so the next part of the equation are these brackets. And I was really stoked to do this because when I first installed these, I installed them incorrectly. I installed them like this. You see how this is going out? Here like this, these two little tabs go in here. Let me take this apart. Okay, I installed it like this. This was really difficult to get the knob in there. These have to be facing inward. So hopefully you can see this. You need to take this nut and you need to get it into the extrusion. So I'm going to zip over here, Chris, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Hopefully I can get her done. Chris, you're going to have to come over here to see this. See this right here? It goes right here in the extrusion, and with my 10 thumbs, sometimes it's hard to get in there. So, oops. So you just got to be patient. Just going to take this and slide it in this way. Okay, this is where I slipped it in earlier and it was really easy, but now I'm doing this. But I'll do, the pressure is on, isn't it? So I'm gonna do it like this, I get it in there, and I'm just gonna go like this so I get it out here on this side. Come over here, Chris, get this. And I'm gonna zip it in here. Now, I'm now going to take, whoopsie. Let me get this on the magnet, there we go. I'm now gonna take this and install it right here, so I can position my bracket properly. I'm gonna loosen this, not all the way. You see how that's spring loaded? Okay, I'm gonna take it like this and get it really close. So I know when I have the seat, we'll move it out a little. And there we go. Come on, get it in there, a little bit more. I just wanna make sure it's easy when I'm doing this from underneath. I'm gonna press fit it in. Then I'm going to take that nut, hopefully we can see this. I'm gonna slide it right there. Now here's the other thing. You need to get yourself a set of Festool hex keys, and because there's a 6mm on there, they come in the metric set. All right, and just take that, slide it in and tighten it up. Just like that. Take the short arm, give it a little bit of torque, and what I'm doing is I'm pulling those little pieces down into the extrusion. So when I take that now, I could take that and see how nice that is. It's super duper easy. So those are the cross members, and they really shore it up. And I'm just gonna bring that in there like that, so that's all right. So hopefully that was a decent explanation of those. I don't need them all the time. That you'll see I have a couple here. They come with the MFT Conturo table, because there's a lot of, when you're running the pieces by the Conturo in the table, you're using it in this orientation the long way all the time. Okay, next. This is, I told you it was gonna be a short one. This is the magnetic base. Okay, this kind of goes lost. It's in our lighting section in the catalog and on the web. And the thing I wanted to point out, Rick was in here earlier with me. He goes, make sure you tell him it's a 1/4-20 thread. Because yes, you could hook a camera to this. A lot of photography tripods are 1/4-20. But this works in a variety of ways. It comes with, I wanted to show you, it comes with a steel plate right here. See it? And it comes locked on like this. There's a piece of cardboard between here and the magnet. But here's the magnetic base. And guess what? I could set this up. We need an additional light for Festool Live. I could take it, put it on there just like that. Ooh, nice and bright. Okay, so it's designed for the cis light. Minnie, did you see that?
I did. I wanted to, yeah.
Wicked cool, huh? Okay, so that's nice, right? But also, what else has a 1/4-20 thread is our original cis rock. Okay, so I could take that, and we need to jam here sometimes, and it's a nice ball joint piece right here. You could put it in any position. I do want to point this out. If you ever lose that thread, you can come, it is solid now. It used to be an adjustable screw, but no longer. So if you have an older version of that, there's an adjustment screw in there, but that is now sealed, so it's even better. Okay, now the one thing that people, this goes missing on this, and I use this so many daggone times. See this through hole right here? Okay, it's another way to clamp. I could take that, slide it right like this. I'm out on a job site, I see a 2x4, I can lock it right to it and have it just like that, and now it works with all the Festool clamps, whether the F-style screw type or the ratcheting one, and I can have that just like this, so I can have some really nice light. Is that the light? Yeah. I can have some really nice light, task light for whatever I'm doing. So there you go.